Hello, folks. It's Thursday, February 2nd, and it's time for the news. The weather continues today with the pattern we've seen for the past few days. Today's high should be only around 65 degrees, and tonight's low should be around 41, though it'll be sunshiny most all day. Clouds will be moving back into the area, and tomorrow, Friday, will be mostly overcast. Friday will have high temperatures in the mid to high 50s, and late Saturday through Monday brings us around 50% chance of some rain showers, even though the 50% of the area that does see some rain will likely not see more than just a trace. I wouldn't expect it will see much, if anything, out of this, as it's been pushed off one day at a time all week long. The average low for this date is 43 degrees, and the average high is 62. The record high was 85, set in 1974, and the record low was 6 degrees, set in 1951. The sun rose this morning at 7:23, and it will set this evening at 6:13. We have a waxing crescent moon today, with 34% of the moon's surface facing the Earth being illuminated. The next full moon will be on Friday, February 10th. Today is, of course, Groundhog Day, and everyone wants to know if Punxsutawney Phil will see his shadow at Gobbler's Knob, and what does it all really mean? According to the folklore, a groundhog's behavior can predict the weather. A sunny day that allows the groundhog to see his shadow will send him scurrying back into his burrow, a sign of 6 more weeks of winter. A cloudy day, and therefore shadowless day, is a sign of spring, encouraging the groundhog to stay above ground. The legend dates back to the early German settlers in Pennsylvania, who had a tradition that if the sun shone on Candlemas Day, celebrated on February 2nd in recognition of Christ's presentation at the temple, the snow would swirl in May. The early settlers adopted groundhogs, which were plentiful in the area, as harbingers of the tale. The country's most famous groundhog is Punxsutawney Phil of Pennsylvania. According to the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, Punxsutawney held its first Groundhog Day celebration on February 2nd, 1887. The famous groundhog, there's been only one according to the club members, who credits Groundhog Punch for the creature's longevity, was originally named Brer Groundhog, but renamed Punxsutawney Phil after the British King Philip. Among Phil's more famous pronouncements was one made during anti-liquor days of Prohibition, when the groundhog threatened to impose 60 weeks of winter if he wasn't allowed to drink. In 1958, Phil announced it was the United States Chutnik rather than the Soviet Sputnik that became the first man-made satellite to orbit the Earth. In 1981, he donned a yellow ribbon in honor of the American hostages held in Iran. In 1993, Columbia Pictures released the movie Groundhog Day, starring Bill Murray, propelling the Pennsylvania town and its most famous resident into popular culture more than ever. Tens of thousands of people flock to Punxsutawney each year to see Phil emerge from his burrow. After he comes out, he shares his findings with the Groundhog Club president, in Groundhog-ese, of course, who then tells the world. While Punxsutawney Phil is the most famous groundhog, there are other weather-predicting animals around the country. Chattanooga, Tennessee has Chattanooga Chuck, Dunkirk, New York has Dunkirk Dave, and Asheville, North Carolina has Nibbles. You know, perhaps somebody in Boerne ought to get up a petition to have some local creature become, say, maybe Bernie, to predict the end of winter in these parts. Somebody get right on that. The city reminds us that every year the Patrick Heath Public Library offers free income tax preparation and e-filing from February 6th to April 18th for anyone interested. There are no income or age restrictions. The volunteers are trained and certified by the IRS. Services are first come, first served, and available Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons at the Boerne Public Library, located at 451 North Main. Well, that's the news for now. I'm Tom Allred reporting. And now we'll get you back to those original hits of the 50s and 60s right here on 1500 KBRN in Boerne, Texas. Think about this. If you already know the worst that can happen in a given situation, what's stopping you from pursuing the best?